Hello there! Just a few weeks ago I reviewed Radtel's RT920 and now already they come out with yet another one. This one is the rather tasty looking RT950. Now it's priced at around $86, which is about £65 for the standard model, and it packs in dual transceiver chips, triple receive, Bluetooth programming, HF or shortwave reception, and a really nice big beautiful high-res color screen, which is really stand out, and 10 watts of transmission power. Now you know me, what I'm going to say next is there's already plenty of functional reviews. I'm going to do what I usually do and just focus on the hardware. So I'm going to give it a quick overview and then I'm going to tear it down, look at the build quality inside and out, see what chipset it uses, because that determines, regardless of software, what its ultimate capabilities are. And then I'm also going to have a quick look and see what scope there is for some juicy modifications. But first of all, let's look through the key features of this radio. Now interestingly, this radio comes in two flavors, the standard RT950 and then we've got the RT950 Pro, which has a few extra features. Now I find this a bit unusual and a bit worrying actually, but more on that later. The model I have here is the standard version because at the time of recording the Pro one hadn't come out yet, but hopefully I'll get one soon. And as is becoming pretty standard these days, it comes with long wave AM, shortwave and FM. So I expect it uses a SI4732 dedicated HF receiver chip in there somewhere. Grandshine, take note. It only cost a few cents and could save your radios from being tickled with a hammer, if you know what I mean. For SSB, you'll need the Pro model. At first I thought you can't be serious, surely. Isn't that a bit like Starbucks charging you extra to put water in your coffee? Anyway, I'll comment on that a bit more later, but yeah, I find that a bit worrying. Now, just like the RT920 and the Bajetons I reviewed in my previous video, this radio's got a super mode. And to enter it, simply hold down the 8 key with the main PTT key when powering it on, and that will put you in the super mode. And once you're in it, you'll get a broad receive spectrum from long wave all the way up to just shy of 1 gigahertz. And I can already tell you from these ranges that it's running on the BK4829 transceiver ICs, which is very common in these sets. Now, as for transmit, CB coverage is reserved for those in business class who bought the Pro model. For those of us in economy class, we only get transmission from 49 to 53 megahertz, which I expect it does poorly. And then from 136 to 579 megahertz, where it probably only really excels on the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands. And like the RT880, it has, of course, built-in APRS and GPS. And like the RT920, it has the ability to be programmed via Bluetooth. Handy for quick tweaks on the go, but I wouldn't recommend using it for setting up the radio from scratch. Now, when I first switched it on, I nearly spat out my tea. The screen is 2.4 inches of high resolution loveliness. It absolutely trashes the RT880 and RT920, and I think sets a new benchmark which we can all look forward to in future radios. Now, for our friends in North America, it also comes with NOAA, which I'm sure you'd be happy about. And there's a spectrum display. Well, whatever, if it floats your boat, there it is. And it's supposed to have 10 watts of RF output. I'm sure somebody's already testing that. Look out for videos on YouTube. And the audio, honestly, it's excellent for one of these handheld transceivers. And I would say it's on par with the RT920 and the Bajetons. Looking at the design and the specs, the RT950 appears to be manufactured by BinTolk, the same company behind the Radtel RT920 and the Bajetons that I reviewed in my last video. The original BinTolk model, the BT9000, seems to offer the same features as the RT950 Pro, such as TX on 27 MHz and SSB as standard. Now, that said, the BT9000 itself doesn't seem to be on sale yet, likely under an agreement with Radtel until Radtel has shifted to shed loads of their own branded version. So let's see how that plays out. Nevertheless, I tend to prefer buying from Radtel because they usually provide their own software forks and frequent updates, and importantly, better customer service and documentation. Now, if you want to add a professional touch and repeatability to your projects, check out the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. Now, I've personally used PCBWay for PCB prototyping, 3D printing and CNC machining, and I've always been impressed with their quality, affordability and speed. They also provide PCB assembly services and specialize in advanced manufacturing, including flex, rigid and HDI boards. And if you're watching this in September 2025 and you like the color purple, well, you're in luck, because PCBWay are offering PCBs with a purple solder mask at the same price as the standard boring green. For more information, visit PCBWay.com and I'll leave a link in the description below. Right, without further ado, let's see what we get in the box. So it comes with a rather lovely programming cable. None of this messing around with swapping RX and TX on USB cables and all of that rubbish. So that's a nice touch. It comes with a throwaway USB-C charging adapter, lanyard, USB-C charging cable, belt clip, rude not to. Nice docking station there, of USB-C connector on the back there. That's nice. And a very long extra ding-dong on the end, VHF, UHF antenna. The same as supplied with the RT920. Now, if you remember, if you saw my video on the RT920, this antenna performed badly on 70 centimeters, but okay on 2 meters. So do yourself a favor, you buy one of these, throw it in the bin and use one from one of your other transceivers. If you're going to use it on 70 centimeters, that is. So nicely packed for freshness. Let's get that screen protector off. Very chunky. I tell you what, it's very substantial and got a lot of girth in your hand, this one. 4 buttons down the side there, 2 main PTT, 2 other programmable. Nice professional mic and speaker socket there. On the top, interesting, you've got rotary encoder in the middle, volume and on and off on the left, and then HF and UHF VHF antenna on the right. Docking station connections and USB-C charging connections on the battery. Turn it on. Wow, look at that. Bloody hell. Resolution on that. That's truly outstanding for the price point. Nice keyboard, integrated speaker grill. Now, if you thought the RT880 was chunky, just wait until you get your fingers around the 950. It's massive, but not in a bad way. I think it's quite satisfying, actually. Let's turn them on next to each other. You see, the screens are actually the same size. They're both 2.4 inch, but I'll compare the screens side by side a bit later. You can see there's a lot more girth on the 950. It's a man's radio. That's what that is. Sorry, ladies, if you're listening, but you know what I mean. Let's compare it with the dinky, chubby, but cute, the 920. Shorter, same girth. Obviously the screen is no comparison. You can see they're coming from the same factory, can't you? The same guy has designed these. He's gone to the same school. Same guy. All right. But hats off to his audio design skills, that's for sure. He's done a good job on those, on both radios. You see, he's been busy on the Bajeton as well, this guy. Whoever you are, thank you very much for setting a new standard. Now let's have a look at the 2 screens together. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there you are. Now look at. Let's just time out. Let's do that again. Wait a minute. Don't switch off. Okay, there you are. Look at that. What a difference. Whoever you are, Mr. BinTolk, thank you very much. Shit. Fantastic, you set a new benchmark. Now on the side here it's got like a MotoGP type speaker and mic connector, which personally I like. I find it more professional than just having like a 2.5mm and a 3.5mm jack. Just feels more secure. Let's take this off. Something I want to show you is the programming cable. It's bloody excellent. Get this thing off. Look at that, right? So it just locks into place there, nice and secure. And then it's got the USB to 232 converter inside that socket there, all done for you. No worries. So I think that's a nice touch. Another nice feature is a single antenna connector which serves HF, VHF and UHF. And in the middle, some of you are going to wet yourself about this, you've got a rotary encoder. Oh, at last. Mr. BinTolk, thank you. Shit. And then on the left there, you got the volume control, and I don't know why they didn't put the antenna on the left, kind of following convention. 4 buttons there, 2 PTT, and then plus additional 2 programmable. And you can see the connections on the bottom are the same as the Bajetons. Obviously come out the same factory from BinTolk. Let's take the battery out. Comes out very easily. Let's have a quick gander at the battery. 2,600 milliamp hours. Lithium polymer battery. See how that compares with the RT880. I can't quite remember. Okay, so it was 2,400. Okay, so it's got a bit more juice than the RT880. Otherwise, pretty much on a par. And then you can see there you've got the USB-C charging socket on the back of the battery. So you can charge the battery independently as well. Some people like that. Now the radio construction itself seems very solid. You can see there it's got 4 screws for taking the chassis out. No more faffing around with multiple spludging tools. Right, now to my favourite bit, the teardown. Right, after releasing the securing rings on the top around the volume control and antenna connectors, etc., and the 4 screws, I'm going to try and use a spludger to take the chassis out. But I tell you what, it's not coming. There must be something else. Must be more to this than meets the eye. No, look, it's not. It's not coming. Right, I'm going to look for screws. So I found a pesky screw under this label. There you are. Is it just one? Oh no, 2 pesky screws. All right, so let's get those out. And then hopefully this radio will reveal its secrets. But you know what, I've got to say, I'm very impressed with the way this thing is put together. It feels like a good value for money in terms of its construction. Right, let's see if that's gonna release the chassis. No more screws under that label. Hopefully we're good to go. Now I felt something underneath this label, so I'm going to just pull this one up. Let's see. Oh, I see something. There you are. Oh no, it's just a hole. Probably for adjusting something. Oh, okay. False alarm there. All right. So hopefully we should be good to go. Can you see anything? I can't. Let's go for it. No, I'm still feeling resistance. There's something else. No. I'm not going to force it. So I felt another screw under this Radtel label. Hopefully the last. Oh, I can't see there be any more. So we can get this label out. There you are. Oh, just one. Okay. Actually, I think I know what's going on here. You release the screws on the front and back of this band around the top, and I reckon the band will slip off, and then Bob's your uncle. It should all come apart. Hang on, viewers, we're almost there. Bear with me. It'll be worth it, I promise. Right. Let's just, I reckon, slip it off the end. There you are. Okay. Oh, for God's sake. There's two more. All right, so let's see. We should be free. Oh no, it's just falling apart. Look at that. Well, that's nice and easy. And there we are. Watch out for ribbon cable, guys. Oh, we got a fair few. It must be like 3 or 4 ribbon cables under there, so be careful. Microphone, I can see. My keyboard display. Oh, the keyboard's not attached to the main PCB. That's refreshing. That's a bit of a surprise. A nice surprise, actually. Means you can take the PCB out and mess around the PCB and not worry about getting fingerprints and stuff all over the display. I like that. The thing is, though, you need good shielding. All right, if you've got a long cable between the PCB and the LCDs always create loads of noise, so I'll be looking for good shielding around that cable. Right, first thing, let's unsolder that microphone. My trusty Fenersi USB-C soldering iron. There we are. Okay, so the rest of the connections under there are just the flat ribbon cables. So I'm going to use the back of my scalpel just to push out the locking section around the cable. Need to do that a bit more. It should come out freely, don't force it. Bit of a wiggle, it should just come out. There we are. I suspect that's the keyboard. And then this big one here is the LCD display. Let's unlock it on both sides. There we go. What else is left? What's that cable there? Oh, I can see a GPS module. So that must be the GPS antenna. I can see there. On the other side, looks like we've got the connections to the speaker and mic jack. A bit of a flex rigid PCB there. Okay, we're almost there. Almost done. I think we just got the GPS antenna cable. Shame they didn't put that on one of those mini SMAs. That would have been a nice touch. You can see there that lump. That's the GPS active antenna. And that's a GPS module. I recognize that. That's the same as in the RT880. So we can tell off the bat we're going to have the same GPS performance as the RT880. That's interesting. You can actually buy these modules off of AliExpress for a few dollars if you want to mess around with one, including the antenna. Check out my video for the Radtel RT880G, the GPS version. I go into a bit of depth on the GPS system. All right, I think we're free. Finally. Well, it's nice and clean, that PCB. I quite like that. Let's have a look at the case first. So you can see the LCD is nicely protected behind the back of the case there. There's a little slot for the cables come through. There's a GPS antenna. You can see it's a shielded active antenna. That's good. Your nice metal inserts for the screws. I like that. You can see the shielding around the antenna connections, around the flex rigid antenna PCB or cable. What else have we got? But is that shielding actually grounded? That's the question. Or is it just floating there? Not sure about that. I presume it's shielded at the other end behind the display somewhere. What else we got? Okay, so there's a flex rigid flat PCB for the speaker antenna connection. Sorry, speaker and mic connections. And there's a flat cable for the speaker and the keyboard. No shielding on it. Tut, tut, tut. That's a bit naughty. Nice big speaker. Same as you got on the 920, the Bajetons. No wonder it sounds so good. Take my word for it. It sounds brilliant. Plenty of room in this case for mods. I like that. Very solid. Yeah, I like that. I'd say that's like a 4 out of 5 bananas for the case construction. Right, now let's get the PCB off of the chassis. Now after getting all the screws out, you're going to have to desolder the antenna jack. Right, trusty desoldering iron. Desoldering tool. Give it a bit of a wiggle. There we are. So now that should all come out. And then I think it's worth just wiggling that cable coming out of the the pin coming out of the antenna jack a bit more, just to break any leftover solder joints, because we don't want to risk tearing tracks. I think now it's coming out. Here we are. Ta-da! Done. Nice chassis. You see some of the heatsink pads there. You see there. Wow, there's loads of space in there. Look at that. Whoa, you could have fun with mods in there, couldn't you? Oh, that's broken off. That's weird. So that's like one of the heatsink pads to transfer heat. There's RF section cavity. Yeah, well, nicely done. Don't know what else to say about this really. You can see the different cavities of different sections of the electronics to isolate them from each other. Now let's have a look at a detailed look at the PCB. So what we can see here is the GPS module, and I recognize that. That's the same used in the RT880. So it's a ATG M336H, which is a BDS and GNS whole constellation GPS system. Basically, it covers the international and Chinese GPS systems, but excludes the Russian system. Now, I take a more detailed view of this GPS module in my review of the Radtel RT880G, which is the video EB025. So if you haven't already seen it, I suggest you check that out first. You can see a connection to the GPS antenna just there. You've got LEDs for the status indicator. And then we've got the rotary encoder. Not sure where it's marked GPS. Oh, the GPS antenna is above that. That's why. Volume control and power switch. And then what's this little guy here? Let's have a look. What's that? It's a BK1088. Okay, so this is a broadcast AFM, FM, shortwave and longwave radio receiver. Well, this is a surprise. It's not using the usual SI4732. How about that? They've broken the mold, finally. So look at the specs. It goes 2.3 to 21.85. That's lower than the SI4732. It goes up to 30 megahertz. But then I guess that's covered by the transceiver chip anyway. Okay, it's got stereo FM decoder, RDS. All right. I mean, it looks like it does pretty much what the SI4732 does. No mention of single sideband. But then again, the SI4732 doesn't either. It doesn't natively support single sideband, but it's just loaded with some clever software. So maybe this one can do the same. How interesting. How refreshing. Finally something different. The block diagram looks pretty much the same as the SI4732. It's got like a tuning capacitor on the input to the HF there. Built-in LNAs. Oh, there you are. Look, if you want to put a stick for your medium wave ferrite antenna, 180 to 600 microhenries. There you are. Don't say you haven't been told. What else is there to write home about? Oh, but quite a surprise. I wonder why they chose this rather than the SI4732. I mean, this all looks pretty similar to the SI4732. Let's check out the sensitivity actually. Is it which one's more sensitive? Power consumption. Okay, FM receiver characteristics, sensitivity. Oh, so typically 1.7 microvolts. Signal to noise ratio 26 dB. Remember that, guys. 1.7 microvolts on FM. Compare that to the SI4732 in a minute. Let's go down to the HF. Must be here somewhere. Here we are. AM characteristics. Again, signal to noise ratio 26 dB and a typical sensitivity of 20 microvolts. Okay. So 1.7 and 20. Let's hold on to that. Let's check out the SI4732 family. Okay, here's the SI family. Let's check out FM first. So FM sensitivity is only 3.5. So quite a remarkable difference on sensitivity on FM. Let's check AM. We had 20 on the other one. So this one is 25. So it looks to be like the BK1088 is more sensitive. But then again, does it have an separate input LNA? There's so many things that could affect it. But that's interesting. Is that why they've chosen the BK? Because it's more sensitive? Well, I guess we'll find out. That's not for this video though, guys. Perhaps we'll do a sensitivity check and performance check in another video. Unless someone else has done one, of course. So quite a few discrete components next to the BK1088. I wonder if one of those is a RF amplifier. Who knows? And what's that EAML device on the side there? If you know what that is, please let me know in the comments, because I haven't the foggiest. Is it crystal oscillator? Because I don't see an oscillator crystal anywhere. Let me know. I'd love to know. Help me complete the jigsaw puzzle. Quite a lot going on around that chip. I wonder why. So, moving on, you can see there we got the display connector, and there we got the heat sink. So we'll have the RF power amplifiers on the other side of the board, and there we got the connector for the ribbon cable, which goes to the speaker and mic connector on the side. Also we got button PCB for the 2 PTT buttons and additional 2 buttons, programmable buttons. Input resistors for the battery system. Potentiometer there. I wonder what that's doing. That's one of 2 potentiometers I notice. A few discretes there. Another potentiometer. Any idea what those are doing? Let us know in the comments. There's the keyboard and speaker connector. The Bluetooth data module, BT513, has been lasered off. Nobody wants you to know what that is. Top secret. RX and TX debugging connector. You see, it's a BT9000 confirmed by BinTolk, not Raddy. Raddy resell them. Got old design from last year. That is a 8 megabit flash. Microphone connector, positive and negative. I think that's just about it on the top side. Let's turn the board over. A lot more going on this side. Let's have a look. My goodness, that is a huge processor. What a slab of silicon that is. What's that? It's an AT32F403 AVGT7. So let's take a closer look at this. So high performance microcontroller, 32-bit, 4-core, up to 214 megahertz. My goodness, that's almost twice as fast as the processor used in the 880. It's got FPU unit, floating point unit, built-in DSP. Wow. 1 megabyte flash, quarter of a megabyte of RAM, fast memory, fast flash, 0 weight state memory. See which one we got here. Wow, we've got, it's the top of the range in the series. We've got 1 megabyte of flash storage in here. 240 megahertz clock, FPU. It's got 4 times the amount of memories that 880 has. And it's got 3 12-bit A to Ds, 0.5 microseconds. So that's 2 megahertz sampling rate. Wow, this thing's a monster. Why put such a high performance processor in a radio? I can't get over this. Yeah, that's the VG we got, and it's got 768 of slow memory or normal memory, 256 kilobytes of fast memory. So that's 0 wait states. So that'll run as fast as the processor does with no wait states. I'm so impressed with this. And then the RAM, 96 plus 128K. Why put... I think I'm going to have a cup of tea and a biscuit. So let's reflect on this for a bit. I mean, this processor selection was no mistake, and it's high performance. It's actually, when you look at it, the memory is almost 4 times that of the RT880. And also, the processor clock speed is almost double. So what's the thinking? Is it that there's an intention that if that processor was connected to, let's say, the audio output, then it could do decoding? That would be very cool. Or if it's connected to like the RF stages, then perhaps you could do some software-defined radio type functions, such as a display of waterfall for a frequency range. That would be really cool. And I know there's no dedicated APRS chip, so perhaps it's doing APRS tone synthesis, FSK synthesis, and decoding. So that gorgeous display combined with a rotary encoder combined with that processor offers some exciting possibilities. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's a crystal. That would be 8 megahertz, but that would be clocked up inside the CPU. A few more discretes there, voltage regulators, op amp. I know this one. This is a dual op amp, so not sure what that's being used for. Maybe audio, something to do with APRS signals maybe. It's got a potentiometer on the other side for adjusting something. Not sure what that's for. Yeah, so that's all of the processor section there. We've got some connections going out the processor section for a few more discretes. Maybe that is the APRS output being synthesized by the processor. APRS input and output. That's where you got these discretes and an op amp. Because we've not found a dedicated APRS chip yet, so maybe the processor's doing all that itself. That looks like the audio amplifier. Yeah, I recognize that. That's a dual audio amplifier, around 1 watt or less. Same as used in the 920. Unpopulated IC there. Any idea what that's for? Answers in the comments, please. Help me complete this jigsaw. So it's got ground on pins 4 and 5. That's a clue. Are those bases for crystals or filters? Something for the Pro model? Oh, I can't think what. And then the star of the show, the transceiver chips. So you can see we've got a master and a slave there. The master being the one with the clock crystal. There's a BK4829. Well, I could have told you that from the frequency range. You see this one's got the crystal and it shares the clock there with the second one. So this is why you've got the possibility of doing cross frequency repeater and triple channel receive. So I'm not going to go into much detail on this. I've been through these chips many times before in my previous videos, but you can see the frequency range there corresponds to the specs, and all of the main transceiver functions will be because of this chip, right? The types of modulation that can be processed, the DCS, DTMF, FSK, all of these functions or abilities are because of this chip. Then moving on, you can see that we've got basically 2 power amplifiers. You can see one at the top there, and then just here, and then another one at the bottom. One is probably tuned for VHF and the other for UHF. Now, I'm very happy to see that the RF power amplifier chip used, the 7G016S011, is the 11 watt capable amplifier is used in the A80. So that's just fantastic. It's got plenty of headroom, even if it's outputting 10 watts. Not like the 920, which has only got an 8 watt amplifier system. So that's really good. So it should be just as capable on RF transmission as the 880G is. I won't dwell into this. I went over this in the 880G. Take a look at that video if you're interested to know more about these amplifiers. What else we got? Not much left to go through really. So there is your volume and power. There's your rotary encoder, which is a really nice thing to have. Well, I think that's about it. I think we've covered it pretty much. What a surprising radio. How powerful. I never expected to find a processor like that in this radio. That is a real surprise and opens the door for a lot of opportunities. I wonder what the developers can do with that. I wonder how it's connected to the rest of the system. Is it connected to the audio so it can do decoding of Morse and so on? Is it connected to the RF stage so it can kind of do waterfall display on that beautiful display? Can it actually do SDR functions itself? Is it powerful enough? If you're into this sort of thing, do let me know in the comments what you think this might be capable of. So in summary, this radio has really impressed me. At this price point, there's a number of groundbreaking things, right? Firstly, the power of the processor, which is a massive leap from the RT880. It's got a fantastic display. It's got a built-in rotary encoder, built-in dedicated HF chip, dual transceiver, dual 11 watt amplifiers. I mean, there's just so many things going for this. I just hope the software is going to do it justice. I know this is an early version. It's probably got lots of bugs and these things happen with new releases, but our Radtel are normally on the ball. So, you know, I trust them and I've got faith in them to bring out fixes and new features as and when necessary. And I just hope that this software isn't locked down so that community developers can innovate and push this hardware to the extreme. Because I think this little radio is capable of so much with that processor and display. So let's see. Now, having reviewed the standard version of the RT950, I can't see anything missing which would mean that you can't have the pro features. That's the SSB and also the 27 megahertz TX. So it makes me think it's just a software switch. And I hope that doesn't mean that it's a kind of a paywall. I hope this is not something like the start of something more sinister, like subscription or something ridiculous like that. And I also note that the BinTolk BT9000 has transmit on 27 megahertz and SSP out of the box. So what are Radtel thinking here? Why are they doing this? Not happy about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, if you want one of these, check the description. Radtel have given me a link so I can get you a 5% discount on this thing. I'll also list any tools that I've used as usual. And thank you for joining me in this teardown. Really, really interesting and surprising. And let's hope this sets the benchmark for future radios to come. Until next time, take care and 73.